Hey, I'm Katie Miller, a course creation coach and social media strategist navigating business, motherhood, and life while calling BS along the way. If you are tired of the overwhelming amount of information we have access to these days and are confused about where to even begin, you're in the right place. Join me as I talk with small business owners to sort it all out and give some tips to move your business forward. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Katie Calls BS. I hope that you have been enjoying the shorter episodes and the more course-focused episodes. I know I have. I love talking all things course stuff, so I am enjoying these little quick episodes and I hope that you're getting tons of value out of them. So let's dive into this week's topic. Today we're going to talk about PowerPoint slides, because I know that a lot of people kind of default to this. They default to PowerPoint slides or Canva slides and using that as just like our general go-to tool for teaching and using all things presentation and all things digital products. So we're going to talk about whether that's really necessary today. Do we have to have them when we create a course or a digital product? No, you don't actually. They are the go-to option because they're familiar. That's what we're used to creating. We're used to creating slides. We're used to creating PowerPoints, Canva presentations, or whatever it is that we do because it's kind of our default, our comfort zone. They're easy to create. They're familiar. Everyone's used to it. It's just what we do, right? It's just what we're like, we can go create a quick thing, or it might be what we already have done. And we're like, let me go use that because it's done and it's easy and it's just what I have. And it's so much easier to use that than to recreate and do something new and different. But the thing is, we don't always need to do that. We have this idea in our head that PowerPoint slides feel professional. They feel so professional and it looks so polished and put together, but often they lack so much substance. And I can't tell you how many presentations or how many courses I've seen where PowerPoint slides are just packed full of so much information and it's all words. I don't know how we've gotten to the point where people still don't understand that you shouldn't have all of your words on the PowerPoint slide. It should be the support. It shouldn't be the entire presentation. You shouldn't just be reading the PowerPoint slide. I'm not sure how we don't know that at this point. It should just be the support, right? But there's a way that we can use them if you want to use them, but it's not the only thing that you can use to create something that is powerful, a powerful digital product. They are not required. I'm going to start that out here. They are not required to have a powerful and impactful digital product. They don't necessarily create a good learning experience. It's not the only learning experience to be like good or professional. That's not it. You don't have to have a PowerPoint or a Canva slide presentation or whatever, or slide deck, whatever you want to say. It is not that important. The most important part and the thing that I want you to walk away from this episode is interaction. That's what we want from our digital product or from our course, really, is the interaction that we get from our clients and our customers, and what people are walking away from after they work with us or after they use one of our digital products is that they're actually getting what we want them to get out of it. Okay, we want them to get that transformation. We want them to have the help and assistance that we're aiming for. It's not from the slide deck. Okay, so let's talk about when they can actually help. They are really great for visual learners, and it's important when you're creating a digital product or a course that you are creating something that appeals to all learners. That's just a general rule. If you are thinking of creating something and you just are creating an audio course or an audio digital product, that's great. But not everybody learns that way. So for me, for instance, if I'm listening to something, it's really hard for me it's really hard for me to focus on that and not to space out. So even in class, I would have to write it down at the same time. So I would have to take notes purely for listening purposes. Otherwise, I would just be like off and just gaze off like into the window and think about something else and daydream. And then I would miss half of what the teacher just said. Not because I was not paying attention. It's just because that's how my brain operates. Is I need to see something. I need to see it. I need to do it. That's how I operate. That's how I learn, but that's not how everybody learns. So in order to appeal to the broadest learners, the broadest amount of learners, you want to present the information in a way that appeals to the most amount of learners. So think about that when you're presenting information. It doesn't need to be okay, now I need to have a PowerPoint and I need to have a voiceover and then I need to have it this way and then I need to have it this way. It could be that you have an audio, but then you also have a way for people to practice that. And you also have a way for people to take notes. It doesn't necessarily mean that's a PowerPoint. It just gives people the tools to be able to absorb the learning in a way that appeals to them. So PowerPoint decks or slide decks are a great way for visual learners when they're used intentionally. They're really helpful in courses that rely on a lot of visuals, a lot of diagrams, a lot of frameworks, or there's a flow to it, like marketing funnels or timelines or workflows where people really do need to see the visual part of it. But if you have a course that is really just a lot of like talking and bullet points and you just need to get the information out there, then visual is not necessarily going to be that important. So if it's just you talking and you're not really sure what you would put on a slide, it doesn't necessarily need to be a slide. They're really effective in live teaching to help keep your audience on track. So if you want to just put like bullet points to give people a place to kind of stay on track and say, here's what we're covering. Here are a few highlights. I'm going to dive deeper into these topics, or here's this section. Here's this section. Here's what we're talking about. We're going to dive into this, this, and this. Here's where we're going to take notes. Here's where we're going to talk about this. It's a great way to keep people on track. It's really useful for repurposing content, so you can turn your slides into PDFs, handouts, recap decks. Great for all those things. Also great to turn those into content, which you create it once. You can repurpose it, especially now in Canva. Not with the latest updates, you can easily change the sizes of things. So it's really easy to recreate and repurpose your content. Here's when it hurts more than helps to have a PowerPoint or have a slide deck. When they are packed with text. We should know this by now, but I still see this with clients, with presentations that I attend, in all kinds of things. When they are packed with text, it is too overwhelming. If you are going to just read a slide, I can read it myself. I don't need you to read it for me. Okay, that's too overwhelming when there's like paragraphs of text. I don't need that. I just want the bullet points and I need you to expand on it. That's why you're there. You're the expert to expand on the topic. I don't need you to read text to me. Okay, you remember especially if you're teaching adults, which most of us are at this point as entrepreneurs, we don't need you to read it to the other adults. Okay, when you are using those slides as a crutch because you're nervous as a speaker, which I fully understand that. Even in presentations now, it can be really nerve-wracking to speak to an audience, and it's helpful to have those slides to kind of like fall back on. It's something for you to keep you on track, and it can be really like, well, I'm scared. I'm like in front of the whole group. I'm speaking. I'm doing this course, or I'm doing this presentation. I'm doing this webinar, whatever it may be. And it's more of a guide for you versus the learner. If it's more of a guide for you versus your learner, that's a problem. We need the slides to be a guide for your learner, not for you. Okay. That's when it can hurt your digital product more than help it. When there is zero engagement and it's just slide after slide after slide, like there's no pausing for questions, there's no like go do this, or here's where you need to take this action, or whatever it may be, there's no point in having the slides, or there's no like keeping people on track. When they are used alone with zero context or guidance and it's just like random slides here and there, you don't need it. You're just putting it in there to put it in there. We don't need that. So here are some alternatives to having a PowerPoint course or a Canva slide deck course. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, you don't actually have to use this tool. You don't actually have to have slides. You could do any sort of digital product or course without it. There are a lot of options. I say to people all the time that courses, digital products, whatever it may be, come in all shapes and sizes. It's just figuring out what works for you and for your audience. And that's really the key here, is to figure out what works for you and your audience. You could do Loom style screen shares. So you can do that if you have a Mac, you can do it on your Mac too. But Loom style screen shares are great with you guiding through concepts or examples. So it's still, if you are someone who gets nervous in front of speaking to a group or speaking to the audience, or you still need to demonstrate something, using that screen share still allows you to do that, but gets away from that slide deck, like stiff way of doing it. Talking head videos, showing your face, and it builds that connection, but it allows you to just do a video without a slide deck. You can do that on Canva too, where it's like a little more Loom style. Interactive PDFs or workbooks with prompts, checklists, or action steps. That's really helpful so you can actually take people through the process. Do mini how-to videos or demo walkthroughs like Canva. I think Notion is another one. Use your actual platform that you use for work to walk people through the demos, mini how-to videos. Create a collection of that. Walk them through that. You don't actually have to put it all on a slide deck. Why would you then do an extra step of putting it on a slide deck and like screenshotting it to take them through the process? Why don't you just show them the video, right? Like, don't take the extra step. There's no point in adding an extra step of like, okay, well, now I'm going to make these how-to of doing this. So I should just take the screenshot of each step and then I'll put arrows on the slide to then talk through each step. Like, that's so many steps. Just make a little video and that's the course. And you can do a voiceover so easily. And like I said earlier, the audio-based lessons for passive learners, this is really great option for people who just want to get the information. Just doing like a podcast style audio-based lesson for passive learners is great for mindset style content, storytelling. The people who don't need to see the visual part of it, you just need them to listen. That's it. Interactive tools with quizzes, polls, when they need to make scenario-based decision-making, like higher-end courses, when there's going to be a lot of steps. So some courses are going to have more of this, more quizzes, more polls, more scenarios, or they're going to have like a little bit of all of this. You want to make sure that you're putting this in at the right spots so that you're breaking up the lessons and you're not putting in like 25 minutes of you talking at people and you just want to have, here's the lesson, here's the information, the chunk of information I want to give you. Here's a demo, here's a quiz. Are you really understanding what we're doing here? But it all needs to be intentional. That's the point. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to a presentation that has nothing to do with what they're actually learning. Everything that you give people in a digital product, in a course, whatever it may be, has to be intentional, especially as adults. We need to know that there's a point. At the end of the day, there has to be a point to what we're doing, and it has to go back to what we're learning. What we're doing is we're trying to create it to help the transformation of our clients. That's the point. And to do that, we have to create value-packed and aligned digital products. And to do that, we have to make sure that everything we're creating is useful and goes back to the point of what we're doing. So when we do that and we create it in different ways, like what I just shared with you, these alternatives, that'll help create something that is actually beneficial for our clients where they come back wanting more and more and more. So when we make our learning resources good and exciting and valuable, people are going to like start raving about them. And to do that, you have to have a clear objective. They have to know what the takeaway is. So if you were to ask them at the end of your digital product or the end of your course, and you were to say, okay, so what did you get out of this? They can immediately be able to say, you know what? I had no idea how to do X, and now I know how to do X. I had no idea how to create a course, but now I know how to create a course. I had no idea how to create a digital product, but now I fully understand the process. I had no idea what this was, but now I totally understand what it is. You explained it so well. You want to make sure that you give opportunities throughout the process for application, for reflection, for feedback. Those are all those ways that I talked about for like giving people that option to have it, to like take the quizzes, the polls, the interactive tools, all those things, but it has to be useful. It has to have a point. You're not just asking it just for fun, just for your own little validation. Like, isn't my course so great? Isn't my digital product so great? That's not what this is about. Is it designed with your audience's real life in mind? Are you after quick wins? Are they after quick wins? Is it for a deeper mastery? Is it for something visual? Is it something to do just because they're bored? Are you bored because you wanted to create something? Are you creating this thing and expecting them to spend hours upon hours upon hours in their day? Because none of us have that kind of time. Let's be real, very real. Think about when you're launching this course or digital product, whatever it may be. And I want you to really think about when you're launching it and think about how much time people are actually going to have. If you are launching something and it is in the middle of summer, you may not have as much traction because people are in and out and traveling and doing all kinds of things and your schedule is a little bit different. If you are launching in August, that's going to look different than if you are launching in October versus December. You have to think about this in terms of what people's schedules are like during these different times of year and what the point of the course is. that's knowing your audience. That's what makes it good, is you have to put all these pieces of this puzzle together to make something that is actually going to be so value packed and aligned and not boring, which is what bad PowerPoint slides will do. Look at that. Look at how that whole full circle came back around. I love when that happens. So at the end of the day, making slide decks is not the worst thing in the world. They are not the enemy, okay? They're not the entire course. They are not what makes or breaks your digital product. They are not going to be the end all be all. If you do not have them, it's not like, oh my gosh, my course or my digital product is doomed. I don't have slides. But if they are just basically your script and you just put it up because you need something to read and you're worried that you won't have anything to say or you'll forget everything if you don't have it all the way up on the screen, and you won't have everything on the screen to remind you, you will lose every single person in your digital product. They will tune out after slide 1, after you introduce whatever it is that you're talking about. And that's not what we want in this digital product. You need to make sure that your slides support what you are talking about. They support the transformation. They are not just filler. They are not just there because you felt like you needed to have them. They are not just there because you were like, oh, I need to lean back on this like professional. My course is not professional looking if I don't have slides, because that's not true. You can have a professional looking digital product and professional looking course without having a slide deck. You can have it look however you want it to look and whatever feels right for you and your audience and your course, as long as you have a point to what you are doing. And as long as your transformation is clear, it doesn't matter how the information is delivered because the point is clear. The information is being delivered in a way that makes the transformation very clear. So slides are not going to make or break your course. That's not what's going to make or break it. What's going to make or break it is the content. Always going to be the quality of the content at the end of the day. I hope that was helpful. I hope you got something out of that today. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Katie Calls BS. You can find more information about our guest and Katie in the show notes below. Be sure to subscribe, share, and review, and don't forget to tag us.